Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television and radio talk show where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning 2 p.m. on the Eastern time zone. As I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on television. That's Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. You can also find us on the radio, the biggest country classic in Abbeville, South Carolina, right here, 92.9 FM and WZLA are call letters. Now, I just wanted to mention this. Before we moved to South Carolina, we were listening to this station online, and it gave me a really good feel of what the community would be like. So if you wanted to find out what the community is like I live in, go ahead and check them out. Do it online wherever you live. I have Jody Powell with me right now. You guys really love Jody. You're always saying, I like that guy. I like him. And folks love your ministry and what you're doing. So for the newbies that are out there, Jody, talk to them about your life and what brought you to this point.
Sure, Donna. Thank you. Thanks for having me back. And I love to feel the love from my hometown in South Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina, but also all over the country. And, you know, we are a professional wrestling organization, Wrestling for Christ. And a lot of people say, well, you know, so you do a little bit of wrestling and a little bit of gospel. No, we do a lot of both. This is a legitimate professional wrestling organization. You know, it has the full wrestling ring, the production setup, recording devices. We do storylines. We have good guys, we have bad guys, and you can cheer the good guys and boo the bad guys, or vice versa if you choose. Some people choose to pull for the bad guys and enjoy that. And we definitely put on a full professional wrestling show, but we also at intermission a speaker that shares the gospel, that is there to enlighten the audience to what Jesus Christ has done in our lives and what Jesus Christ did on the cross for them. And so if you have friends who you want to invite to church and you just know you're going to get that answer, it's like, well, no, I don't want to go to church. That's not my thing. You can invite them to one of our wrestling shows, and guess what they're going to get? They're going to get great professional wrestling. They're going to get entertained, but they're also going to get the opportunity to hear testimony or a word from a pastor, because we believe that spreading the gospel goes far beyond the walls of a building. And that's what we're about at Wrestling for Christ. And all of our ministry, everything that we raise, all of the money there goes towards our mission trips to the Philippines. And we're very passionate about the people of the Philippines and spreading the gospel on the islands there. And not just in the big cities. We don't go to Manila and hang out in hotels and go to big arenas and do our wrestling shows. We go into the villages, we go into the jungle, we go into a lot of places where a lot of people haven't been. And they love wrestling, and then they get to hear the good news of Jesus Christ. So it's a lot of fun. It's led to a lot of other things, Donna. Actually, you know, I know you mentioned Abundant Television. If you're not familiar with Abundant Television, I would encourage you to check them out on Roku or Apple TV or Amazon Fire Stick, or download it to your device. But it's a great television network of Christian programming, 24 hours a day. Wide variety of programming. They do have wrestling on Saturday nights. Ephesians Pro Wrestling out of Dallas, Texas, out of the Dallas area. It's a great show. But a couple of things that I've been able to work on there, Donna. One is my wrestling talk show that's Monday nights at 7. It's called Falls Count Anywhere, and we do talk a lot of wrestling, but we also talk about Finding Tomorrow, and that's the name of the segment where we share about men's mental health and how it's hard to be a Christian in today's world. And that's kind of spun off a new television show that's on Abundant that I'm so excited about. And that show is called Men Like Us. And it's just 4 dudes sitting around chatting about the things we struggle with. And it's also on Abundant TV. You can find it on their app on demand. We air every third Wednesday of the month at 8 p.m. And there's also a female version of our show that's coming out for the ladies called Salted. Their first episode is going to come out real soon. I'm so really excited about Men Like Us and what that's going to lead to and how God's going to use that ministry.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, because we all need groups like that to be part of. I mean, there are groups everywhere else for everything else. And, and sometimes we feel a little bit left out, as Christians. And so, but I really appreciate what you're doing. I mean, you're a light in the dark, dark world.
Oh, well, it's not anything that I've done, Donna. I've the only thing I've done is probably screwed some things up because I tried to do it myself. But it's just a continuous prayer that God would use our abilities that He gave to us in a way that allows for His kingdom to shine and to be known and to be spread. So it's really all God's work in spite of us.
Yeah, in spite of me, I'll take it. Let's talk about Rob Patch just for a few minutes. I've known Rob for a really long time. See what I mean? All you got to do is mention Rob Patch and everybody laughs because he's such a fun person. I mean, anytime somebody says, what do you know about Rob Patch? I do the same thing. I'm like, man, we just love Rob. I mean, he's such a giving person.
He really is. And for those of you who don't know Rob, he is the proprietor, the owner of Abundant TV, among many other things within the media world, and just a really incredibly smart individual, knows the media world backwards and forwards, but has taken his talents and used the platforms that he has to spread the word of God. And Abundant TV is just one of many examples of how he does that. But what I love about Rob is he and I are kind of two peas in a pod because we are the idea guys. I mean, we live way up in the clouds and we have all these ideas and we want to do a ton of things and bounce ideas off of each other. We don't, how are we gonna do that? That doesn't matter. Let's just go do it. And that's kind of the way that Men Like Us came to be about. He and I, and this is an idea he's had for a while, and he and I were just on the phone bouncing ideas off of each other, chit-chatting, and wouldn't it be great if, and those kind of things. And all of a sudden, I'm on a platform with three other guys talking about the difficulties of family expectations at the holidays. And I thought, well, I don't know if we can fill an hour of just men sitting around talking, because we're not the greatest communicators. I don't know if you ladies would agree with that, but men.
And my communicator is sitting right here.
Right. I don't know if Phil would agree with this, but men just aren't great at communicating. We don't open up. We don't share our emotions. We don't share our feelings. We isolate. I call it an epidemic, and it really is suffering in silence. And a lot of times, men will give you the typical answer. Oh, I'm fine. I'm doing well. I love the church answer when you ask a guy how he's doing. So, oh, I'm blessed. Yeah. And inside he's just cringing because there are so many pressures and so many things going on that he just doesn't feel like anyone wants to hear about or wants to talk about, or he feels like he needs to hold those things inside. And so when Rob and I were talking about an hour show where men are talking, really, how's that gonna listen? With that show, when we recorded the first episode, I knew that God had his hand on it because it felt like 5 minutes. We were there and we were sharing, and it was getting deep, and these guys were being vulnerable, and I'm just on the verge of tears because it just felt so good to be in community. We think about how we need to be strong men, and we need to have this persona of being tough, rugged, calloused hands and soft heart and all that kind of stuff, and this gruff exterior. And it was just in episode 2, in fact, that should be on Abundant TV on demand by now. We talk about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane before he was arrested. And what did Jesus do? Well, Jesus went and he prayed. He prayed so hard that the Bible says he bled. He sweat blood. He was praying so hard, but he wasn't alone. And this is the part that I missed. And one of our guests pointed this out. A great pastor over in Rock Hill, South Carolina, named Joey Dees. He said, listen, Jesus wasn't just off by himself praying. He grabbed 3 or 4 guys and said, "Come with me, pray with me." And that would just completely I missed it. I completely missed it. How often do we as men grab 3 or 4 guys and say, "Hey guys, will you come and pray with me because I'm struggling with something?" And you'll get the "Oh, I'm praying for you." I hate to hear that, brother. I hope it gets better. I'm praying for you. That's typically what you get out of a guy. And you just kind of have to trust. No, when's the last time someone came to you with a problem, men, and you grabbed them by the arm and said, "Let's go pray right now"? And both of you got on your knees and prayed to God about the situation. That's what Jesus did in the Garden of Gethsemane with 3 or 4 of his disciples. And unfortunately, the disciples fell asleep. Jesus was praying so long. And he comes back, and it was such a sad question, Donna. I'm on this kick of questions that are asked in the Bible that I think are just sad. And one of the questions that I come across is this story when Jesus comes back and finds Peter, James, and John. They're all asleep. They're supposed to be praying, and he comes back and says, I just needed an hour of your time. Could you not even give me that? You're asleep. And I can imagine the feeling of disappointment, because this was big. This was his life. This was the human side of him was saying, "God, not this, but not my will, but yours." He was praying for it not to happen if there was any other way. And he came back and found them asleep. So it's just a sad question, such a lonely feeling of, it was an hour. Could you not stay awake and pray with me for an hour? And I think sometimes that's the loneliness that men can feel.
Absolutely. And I laugh about this. I love Andy Griffith's shows. And the one show that it just makes me crack up is the one where they're in a church. And so this new pastor from New York comes in. I don't know if you remember this one. Well, Gomer falls asleep. And then of course, Barty does too, falls asleep, and Andy has to do like this with his shoulder, to wake him up. And we'll laugh about stuff like that. But now, how many times have we yawned in church?
Yeah.
It's the same deal, because we're not paying attention. And and sometimes we do, and then we just really throw off on these dudes that they fell asleep while Jesus. And you think, well, who in the world could go to sleep with Jesus right there? Well, Jesus is with us all the time right now.
That's right. That's a very good point. And, that pastor has worked all week to prepare that sermon and to look out and to see people yawning. And I know it's early Sunday morning, and Sundays are great for sleeping in if after a long week, but that pastor deserves your attention. He's worked hard for what he's delivering to you, and God's given him a word. So yeah, it's hard not to, but there are a lot of things in life that we need to be more diligent with, particularly in our walk, in our faith. And put more intentionality into.
We had a pastor of a church one time, and he's called his wife Red. She had red hair. And he was going a little long. And so she just did like this, put her hand up and went like this and just looked at her watch like that. And he said, "Red, put your wrist down." It was her hint. It's time to go to a commercial break. So let's go ahead and go to a commercial break. We'll be back in just a minute. Everybody hang around.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020. We're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to limonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, we are back. Boy, did my husband and I have a discussion in that commercial break. We sure did. As a matter of fact, right now he's going, mm-hmm. So, but I wanted to say something else about guys. So we had these awesome neighbors. We lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. They were a black couple. And so Polly, his wife, said, what does Phil do? Like when you know something's wrong and he just says, everything's okay. And I said, well, I mean, he says everything's okay. And she said, well, this is what my husband says. He always says, it's all good. It's all good. He says that. Yep. I know something's up. Something is absolutely wrong. So, okay. So in this segment, I've got Jody Powell with me right now. When I have friends I'm interviewing, sometimes I forget to tell you who they are. I figure you know. And all of you do at this point. But I just want, how did we get inside your heads? And I wanted to explain this first, okay? So I was hosting a show called The Woman's Edge in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I thought, well, only women are watching this show. No dudes are watching. Probably just my husband. You know, that's the only man who's watching this show. It's all women. Because all I was getting was email from women, nothing from men. So I had a Christian psychiatrist with me on the show. And so, you know, the book had come out, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and that stuff. And I said, we're just all, you know, we're different. And I said, you're right about that. I said, you guys speak a different language than we do. I said, we were driving down the road one day, Phil's driving, and we passed by Wendy's. Mm-hmm. I said, I love Frosties. And he just kept going. And then I sulked on just a little bit. And they said, what are you sulking about? And I said, you didn't stop and get a Frosty. And he said, you didn't say you wanted a Frosty. And now you're agreeing with him. I can see it right now. Okay. So I said, well, I did. And he said, no, you didn't. You said you liked them. You did not tell me you wanted me to stop. Then he turns the car around. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to stop and get you a Frosty. And I said, I had to beg for it. I don't want it now. You know, I got so many email from men. That segment let me know that I did have a lot of guys watching the show. And of course they were agreeing with him. Why don't you women just learn how to just spit it out? You know, just
I'm laughing because having been married for 29 years, I can't tell you the number of times that we've had this conversation. My wife and I will have this conversation at least 2 or 3 times a year. It could have been Wendy's, it could have been something in a storefront, it could have been whatever it is. And boy, I sure would love to have a tea from Starbucks. Yeah, that sounds good. And I'm just thinking we're having a casual conversation, and little do I know that means turn right because there's a Starbucks at the end of the road. But I think too, and I've shared this with church groups when I've spoken in churches particularly about marriage. My father gave me some really good advice a couple of weeks before I got married. He said, "Son, marriage has absolutely nothing to do with you and everything to do with her." And it hit me kind of funny because I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I'm Generation X, right? So everything has everything to do with me. I mean, that's just the way we are, right? But his point was, if you both come into a marriage with that kind of service attitude, then you're going to have an incredibly successful marriage if you're both putting the needs of the other person ahead of your own. And it's taking me a long time to learn how to do all of that. So many lessons along the way. And I think one of the things that I learned about that really kind of changed the trajectory of our marriage and for the better was her needs are greater than mine. They just are. And if I come into, and it can't be with any kind of quid pro quo. It can't be with any kind of, well, I feel this way, so you need to feel this way too. That's not my role. That's between her and God to figure out how she's going to approach it. My approach should be this, and it should be this with no conditions or expectations of anything in return. And I don't always practice that. I fail daily at implementing this advice, but at the end of the day, it does serve very well for a happy marriage and one that's fulfilling for me. Because when I don't like the saying "happy wife, happy life," because the flesh side of me says, well, wait a minute, what about me? But truly, when she's happy, when I've done something for her that she wanted, or maybe she didn't know she wanted until I did it brings me so much joy, and more joy than if she had done something for me.
And it doesn't have to be anything huge either. I mean, like really, the smaller things are what are more important to me. When we first got married, Phil thought he would have to, and I'm just not really a jewelry person. I'm just really not. But he thought he had to buy me a piece of jewelry for every single thing. And finally, I said, I don't want to be offensive, but I can't wear all that. I want just one favorite wonderful piece. That's it. Just one thing. I said, what I'd rather you do is just give me a card that says I'll make up the bed for a year, or that's what women really do like. I mean, some women want all the jewels and stuff, but I'm more grounded. I'm more like it's, just something you think of and then he started, like, when I was going business trips, I was with the corporate world for quite a while. He's glad to get me back, by the way. 20 years ago, I quit all that nonsense. So what he would do is when I would be packing my case, he would hide a note under. And then when I would open up the briefcase and put my suitcase and put everything, back in whatever hotel I was in, it would always be the last thing I would see. And I looked forward to that. And so I told him, I said, that means more to me than anything you can ever buy me. A note is wonderful. And
it's about understanding those things. My wife and I are the same way. I used to think right after we were married that flowers solved everything, and buy her flowers. And she was appreciative. She loved to get them, but she said, you don't have to do that. That's not something that I feel like I should get. I don't enjoy them as much as some other people may enjoy them. And so it's really about communication, understanding those love languages, understanding what are the things that truly kind of express my feelings for her on an individual basis, not on a Hallmark basis. It's not one of those group things. It's what does she specifically want for me to do in order to express an action of love. And for her, it wasn't flowers and it wasn't jewelry. And I'm grateful. My wallet is grateful.
Your wallet's happier.
If I were Phil after that first few months, I think we would be taking a trip to the pawn shop and getting some of that back. But
I learned a lesson from my parents, which had a failed marriage. But I remember when microwaves came out in the 70s, and so Dad and I, he said, "We're going to get your mother a microwave." And so we go to Kmart, and Kmart had these. That's when they were really expensive too.
Yeah.
But now she wasn't the cook. I was really the cook. So I think that's the way she took it. She got mad at it when she unwrapped the microwave. But she said, "That's for Donna, not for me." So anyway,
yeah, appliances and those kind of things are tough gifts. You better understand that love language. If she loves to clean the house, then maybe the vacuum cleaner is the right thing to give.
Well, that's the way I am. That's a healthy present for me. As a matter of fact, after the jewelry and stuff, I said, really, I'm one of those wives that would appreciate a toaster. I mean, something that's going to make my life easier, because I love to cook. I don't like to eat out that much. And I love to cook something that makes life easier in the kitchen. And sure enough, man, I got like the best rated, like mixers and stuff like that. And I actually liked it. And then my favorite present of all time, you're going to get a kick out of this. So he said, "I've run out of stuff." He said, "Your kitchen is just full of stuff. What do you want?" And I said, "Don't laugh, because I'm a gardener." And I said, "I want a wood chipper."
Well, nice. Yes.
And he looked at me and he said, "You are the strangest woman I've ever met."
Oh, but what a useful gift! I mean, you're making your own mulch. You're cleaning up the woods.
I love it. That's been 10 years ago, and I'm still loving that. I mean, it's just, I know not every woman wants a wood chipper, so guys, don't go out buying wood chippers. She's got to be a gardener, and she's got to be somebody.
Oh, the emails you're going to get. You said to go buy my wife a wood chipper, and she didn't like it. Yeah, don't do that unless you've had the conversation.
Yeah, talk about that first. Make sure that is what she wants. We're going to have to call it a day. Jody, more information. How can more folks find out more about you and what you guys do?
Well, check us out. Probably the best way is through Facebook. You can find Wrestling for Christ. Just search for it in Facebook. Also, our new show on Abundant, Men Like Us. We do have a Facebook page. You can search for it there as well. And you'll find videos, highlights of the show. We do a Friday Guy Day devotional. It's 2 or 3 minutes. Each one of our guests do a quick video of a devotion. That's also on our Facebook page. Check us out on Abundant TV. Falls Count Anywhere comes on every Monday night at 7. Men Like Us comes on every third Wednesday of the month at 8 p.m. And would love to hear from you. All of those Facebooks, you can send us a direct message.
Absolutely. Jody, thank you so much for being with me. And thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate that. Continue sending email. I'm just telling you, even you guys, I know I'm going to get a lot of them now from women. I don't want a wood chipper. so anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely appreciate that. We'll see you next time.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television and radio talk show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching us every day, Monday through Friday, beginning 2 p.m. on the Eastern time zones. I get right home with you in the afternoon. Continue watching us on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com and on the radio. Yeah, that's the biggest country giant right here in Abbeville, South Carolina. So continue watching and listening to their morning show. They got some good ones on there too. And they play the classic country stuff. 92.9 FM on the dial. You can find them on the website, just as good as we did before we moved here to find out what this area was like. But WZLA.com. WZ is in zebra, LA.com. Thank you so much. And continue sending email, by the way, Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. Got Jody Powell with me right now. You know, in another segment, we were talking about relationships between men and women, and they're really good. And I can't wait to get all those emails about women getting wood chippers. I love mine, but anyway, just because I love it, guys, doesn't mean your wife's going to love it. So you need to communicate with her about that. Okay, I don't want to get in trouble. Unless you want to send your wood chippers to me.
There you go. There you go. I love a good wood chipper.
There we go. Well, Jody, let's talk a little bit more about relationships because, you know, sometimes we take things for granted, and I'm worse than any of you dudes on that. I mean, I can take things for granted. Like, you know, sometimes Phil is like, hello, I just talked to you about, you know, so-and-so. But it's a relationship problem. But sometimes I know I do. I take him for granted. And without Phil, I wouldn't have the show. I'm just telling you, I'd be messing and monkeying around with it and destroying something, and Rob Powell would be upset. So Rob loves Phil too. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure he does.
Don't communicate that stuff with me. He handles Phil with that.
You know, Donna, it's so interesting because my wife and I were having this conversation a few weeks ago. And of course, you know, we've been married a long time. And sometimes when you're in a relationship for a long time with the same person, whether you're married or even just dating, you get into those ruts. You get into that routine. And you look up and 6 months or a year has passed since you've had a deep, meaningful conversation, or you've acknowledged something that the other person has done for you. And you realize it's a trap. You've fallen into roommate status. And especially in marriage. And, you know, I always try to keep 3 things in mind. And I mentioned before about the advice my father gave me in terms of marriage having nothing to do with me and everything to do with her. And we talked about one, you know, that the fact that her feelings are greater than mine. But another one that I like to try to keep in the forefront of my head is romance over roommates. And we, as men, we should never stop pursuing our wives. And it's hard. Believe it or not, it's harder to do after you're married because, I mean, you're married. You know, you kind of, if you want to take it to a kind of a primal mindset, you've pursued your wife, and now you've won the game. She's married you, and now, you know, game's over. Well, no, the game's just beginning. And so for men, it's really important for us to continue to do the things that we would do romantically while we were dating. I used to write poems for my wife, and I realized I haven't done that in a long time. And like you said, a card, just a nice card. My wife and I the good thing about our relationship is that we have discussed our love languages, and we've realized a couple of things. Number one, neither one of us are big on birthdays. I don't like to celebrate mine. It's just another day. It's fine. I don't need it. It's nice when someone says happy birthday. I appreciate it, but I'm not like, oh, it's my birthday, I am king for the day. I'm not that person, and neither is she. We haven't bought each other birthday presents in 25 years. And that's okay, because that's something we both agree to. And we're kind of the same way with Christmas and other holidays. Valentine's Day, I don't have to buy $100 bouquet of flowers and all this chocolate and everything. She'd kill me if I came home with chocolate. And I'm going to the gym. No, what are you doing? Bring this out.
I know.
So we just have those conversations and understand. But at the same time, there are things that she really does enjoy and appreciate from a romantic side that I, as her husband, should never stop. I shouldn't stop pursuing that and pursuing her and showing her how much I love her. And it's a trap that we tend to fall into. Oh,
yeah. I wanted to mention this, though. You said something about the chocolate and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm into the chocolate. Now, healthier would be dark chocolate, and not Hershey's, something like that. But you really need to just communicate with each other, And when Phil and I were first married, so his parents had a great relationship. I mean, they were married like almost 60 years when Mr. Fiesel passed away. Well, birthdays kind of mean something to me, and I'll tell you why they do. Because actually Mom had Dad serve the divorce papers on my birthday. It was on my birthday. So it was so I was kind of so Dad called and he said, come to the house. And I'm thinking they're going to give me a birthday party. So I get there, and he'd just been served the papers, and he wanted to know if I knew about it. And I said, no, I didn't. And so I had them come to my house. He and my brother were still living there. The house had been cleaned out. And so I wanted them to have a bed to sleep on. So they came to my house. And then Mom calls. And Mom said, I guess you heard what I did. And I said, yeah, happy birthday to me. Thank you. That was a nice present. So Phil didn't understand why birthdays were such a big deal to me. Because he had a bunch of brothers and sisters, and to them it was just like there were too many birthday parties. And so he said, well, I just want to get inside your head. Why are birthdays such a big deal to you? And when I told him that story, ever since then, I mean, he just makes too big of a deal out of it, actually. But anyway, he always makes sure I have the best birthday. So it's all about communicating. Sometimes you just, your family was one way, my family was another way. You have to get into that a little bit, too, just to find out what makes people perk.
You do. And it has to go down to the level of things like, how are we going to do holidays now that we have two families that we have to go through? And let me tell you something. If you're a young married couple, if you've just gotten married, or if you're engaged and you're about to get married, let me give you a little piece of advice that your parents are not going to like this. You don't have to have 2 Thanksgiving dinners on the same day. You don't have to have 2 Christmas dinners all on the same day. What was important for my wife and I we set boundaries, and we had loving conversations with both of our parents about what we're willing to participate in and what we're not. And it's important because, especially when you start to have children, it's no longer about the traditions of your parents. It's about the traditions that you establish for yourselves and for your children. And while we want to be respectful and we want to spend time with family for sure, that should not be the thing that dominates the conversation or dominates the memories. When I think back over 29 years over Christmas, and we didn't do that. I give this advice because we didn't do this well. We did this horribly. And Christmas now, for a variety of reasons for us, is just, it's not the magical time that it is for everyone. I lost both of my in-laws, my wife's parents, in the month of December, and so that makes Christmas hard. And so, and then the actual hurt and the trauma of trying to fulfill everyone's wishes over Christmas, and you're worn out by the time Christmas actually gets there and you don't get to enjoy it. And so some of our Christmas memories are not great, to be quite honest. So if you're a young couple, listen, boundaries are important. And if you're parents, if you're in-laws of adult children who are married, respect that. Just respect what your children's desires are, because it's time for them to begin to establish their own traditions. It's no longer about you. It's hard to hear. I have adult children too. It's hard to hear, but it's no longer about you. You're no longer the main characters. You're now a supporting character in this movie of life. So be respectful of that. It makes life so much easier on your children when you do that.
It does. And it was an easy transition for me, because I can't remember good Christmases when I was a kid growing up, because all of my great-grandparents were alive.
Oh, wow.
So you had to go to, now my dad's mother was different. Now, she was smart. She said, I don't want Christmas Day. Let's do Christmas Eve. Well, we wound up spending a much more pleasant time with this side of the family, because she understood that. And she said, no, I'm kind of selfish. I know I'm getting more time with you. Like that. The other side of the family, say both her grandmothers were still around. So you had to go to my grandmother's, you had to go to both great-grandmother's houses, you had to do all this stuff. And they all lived a good hour and a half away from us. So we would have to jump in the car, do away with our Christmas, that we got from Santa Claus, and go do all this visitation during that one whole day. And then you'd have to eat a whole bunch of food at each grandmother's house, because they would get upset with you, like you didn't like their cooking or whatever. So when Brad and Larissa got married, before they got married, I said it plain. I said, look, I don't want to do Christmas on Christmas Day. And Larissa was like, huh? You don't want to spend time with us on Christmas Day? I said, no, I don't. I said, you have your parents, you have two sets of grandparents that you always do Christmas Day on. And then I got labeled, I'm just like the most wonderful mother-in-law in the world. I said, I'm the most selfish mother-in-law in the world. I said, because I know, what am I going to get, 30 minutes with you on Christmas Day? Yeah. I said, and it doesn't even have to be Christmas Eve. We can do like 2 weeks before Christmas. We can do June Christmas. It doesn't matter to me, So that's what we established with them. And I think it really, really worked out. And then her family didn't think of me as a threat, like, well, Donna's got to have it on Christmas Day.
Right.
To me, that was just the easiest. We stopped aggravations and we stopped fights before they could happen.
That's exactly right. And the holiday, not just the holidays, but any time, any kind of occasion, we have birthday clusters. Like one of my sons was born in June. I was born in June. Father's Day is in June. It's all within a week of each other. My wife was born in May. Mother's Day is in May. And we have another birthday in May. And so they're just clustered together. And so,
in the middle of the year.
It is, and my mom is, it's your birthday, we have to celebrate. I'm like, Mom, please, no, I don't need that. I really don't. I'd rather. I'm good. Send me some money and I'm good. No, but it really is more about the time spent. It's more about not celebrating an occasion, but celebrating our family and love that we have for each other. So we have the best memories when it's not celebrating an event or a holiday or anything like that. And when we're just together and we have that time and we're able to do that, that's when we tend to have some of the best memories for when my kids were little. And now that they're grown and they have significant others that come along and those are fun times to be able to just spend with family. It doesn't have to be in celebration of anything. Let it be in celebration of your family. God's God's blessed you with a family. Let's celebrate that simple fact.
That's a grand idea.
It helps, and like you said, you become kind of the cool in-laws too. They're laid back. They're going to want to spend more time with you. It's all a deceptive trap.
I'll tell you what, one of the most fun Christmases we had with my son and daughter-in-law is we went to Asheville, North Carolina.
Yes.
And it was 2 weeks before Christmas. And it was the week, and we always go to verbo.com and always get like a house or something like that, So we've got plenty of room to stretch and walk around. And so that's what we wanted to do that year. Well, guess what? A freak snowstorm happened. And so the lady who owned the house called me and she said, now there's snow coming down, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to accumulate because it never does. Well, it did. We were coming in from Alabama. They were meeting us from Raleigh, and we were right at Knoxville. And she said, okay, you might want to turn around. Well, I couldn't see the point in turning around because, it was about halfway there. And so we went on. I drove, and I'm going to tell you what, most of this day and this weekend was spent in the house, but we had the most fun.
Yeah.
But now the only aggravating thing was Monopoly. When my son and I, we always beat everybody out, and it always winds up being just me and him. And he'll say, "If you were my mother, you'd let me win." And I'd say, "If you were my son, you'd let me win." So it's really
letting anyone win in family. Come on.
I don't care if you're my son. So and he didn't care that was his mother. So my daughter-in-law just got the Monopoly board and went, "Oops." And it fell on the floor. So they'd had enough of us. But it was not Christmas Day. It was 2 weeks before Christmas. And we remember that one well. It's just, it was so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to make those memories and to have those. And I'm learning that the older that I get. I lost my father earlier this year. And those memories, one of the things that I said at his funeral actually was that my dad loved banana trees. And if you know anything about banana trees, the one thing you should know is that they're not native to upstate South Carolina. So we would plant the banana trees in the spring and we'd have to dig them up and store them in the fall. And the other thing you need to know about banana trees is when you plant one, about 50,000 of them pop up underneath them. And so he didn't get rid of anything. And so we had a plethora of banana trees. But I used that story to kind of talk about memories and how God gives us memories of those that have gone on to glory. And it's like a banana, it's like banana tree is like a memory. You start with one, and then all of a sudden, all of these other memories start flooding back, and you want to create those. And you don't want those memories to be shrouded with anger or hurt feelings or resentment or anything like that. You want them to be all about love and fun and Monopoly and all those good things. So it's really important for parents of adult children to understand that.
You need to get that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go into a commercial break, and we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Man, time is flying.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna. Hi, I am with you with Donna's Edge television and radio talk show. It's always so good to be with you. The reason I get up in the morning, well, Phil's the reason I get up in the morning, but you're the you're the third reason. God's first, then Phil.
There you go.
You. I promise you. But thank you again so much for being with us. It means everything to me. Continue sending email, Donna at donnasedge.com, Donna at donnasedge.com. I got a feeling I'm going to get a lot of emails. This one with Jody Powell. Jody, you and I have turned into friends, and we're really developing a good friendship. And I definitely appreciate what you do. And I know your wife adores you. She absolutely has.
Most days.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, you're talking about dates. So now this is another thing. Okay, so typically it's the guy who forgets the birthday. Okay, with me, it's me. I'm the one who forgets. But the reason why I always remember it's in October, but I remembered his birthday before we got married, and I go by association, numbers by association. So I was thinking, okay, it's going to be easy to remember his birthday. 10-4, good buddy. 10-4. I'll remember it that way. Well, that's not true. Okay, so the first birthday after we got married, I noticed he was around the second. He was acting funny. And I thought, maybe he doesn't feel well. And I kept saying, are you okay? Do you feel good? And he was going, yep, feel just fine. And so his sister called. She said, I want to wish Phil a happy birthday. And I said, on the second, she called. Or no, it was the fourth she called. She said, I meant to call him on the second. So it's a happy belated birthday. And I said, no, his birthday's today. And she said, no, it's not. It's October the 2nd. And I said, ooh, it's not 10-4 good buddy. Well, she didn't know what in the world I was talking about when I said it's not 10-4 good buddy. And so, so that was a misunderstanding on my part. Again, it's not always a dude thing. Sometimes it's us dudettes and we get it wrong, and I do quite often. So
I want you to mark the tape, because that's the first time I've heard a female say that they get it wrong.
I did, but now I learned my lesson. So I know now it is October the 2nd. Okay, so I got that down pat. It's not 10-4 good buddy.
Well, I'm blessed because my wife and I are both that way, and so we give each other a little grace if we do, and maybe that's why birthdays and those kind of things are not as important. Now, anniversaries are important to her. Wedding anniversary, 4/12/97 for us. That's the date, and she was smart enough to have it engraved on the inside of my wedding ring. So if I ever wasn't sure, there it is. Mm-hmm. And so the anniversary is important. I'll tell you a funny story, because I love wrestling and I'm involved in wrestling, and this happened to us shortly after we were married. And this is actually one of the ways that I learned what my father was talking about in that advice of marriage having nothing to do with you and everything to do with her. Shortly after we were married, my wife loved to watch our wedding video. Just loved to watch it. And this was the late 90s. So this is a VHS tape, and we didn't hire some professional photographer to come in and video. We got my brother's father-in-law to record it for us on his camcorder. And he did a great job. He was really good. It was exactly what we needed. And she loved to watch the wedding video. After we were married, I'd come home from work. What'd you do today? I watched our wedding video. Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. You want to watch it? No, I was there. I've seen it. Whatever. If that's what she liked to do. That's great. That's great. Now, I love wrestling, Donna. You know that. I love professional wrestling. And back in the late 90s, something was happening in the world of professional wrestling. It was the Monday Night Wars between the World Wrestling Federation and World Championship Wrestling. They had competing television shows on the same night. It was 3-hour show, both of them on Monday nights on different channels. So you know what that meant for the VCR? Programmed one station to record one of the shows while I watched the other one. And then I'd go back and watch the one I recorded. That's what I like to watch. And as I said, she liked to watch our wedding video. Yes, that happened one Tuesday morning. I got the phone call at work. The phone rings. I pick it up, and she is yelling, "You recorded wrestling over our wedding video!" And I just I didn't know. Sure enough, I got home and I put the wedding video in and hit play, and there she is, just beautiful in her dress, starting to walk down the aisle, and then it went fuzzy. And then it was Ric Flair walking down the aisle. And I had recorded wrestling over the only copy of our wedding video.
The only copy.
That is a funny story 29 years later. It wasn't very funny when it happened. But it's one of the times that I just recognized what I was talking about earlier. Her feelings are more important than mine. I wasn't. I didn't put her feelings. There would be another wrestling show next week. Yeah. Neither one of us can now go back and watch the most important day of our life, or the second most. Coming to know the Lord is the first, but our marriage, our wedding, it's the second most important day of our life, and now it's been lost. And I can tell you exactly what happens on that episode of Monday Nitro. I can tell you if Ric Flair won the match or not. It's one of those things where you just recognize that as important as it was for me to be able to watch wrestling, because that's what I want. It's what I love to do. Her feelings factor in, and so it's no longer that bachelor mentality where I'm going to do what I want regardless. You have to factor in a little bit of care and understanding and making sure the tapes are correct. And it's the only thing that I kick myself over a lot of things, but the one thing I kick myself over, there's that little tab on the cassette tapes that you could take out that would prevent it from being recorded over. You used to have those in music, in the little cassette tapes for music too. And I didn't take that tab out. Had I taken that tab out, then I wouldn't have been able to record over it. And I wouldn't have seen that episode of wrestling, but guess what? There would have been another one next week, and we'd have still had our wedding video, but that didn't happen.
That one too.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said you would have over that one too.
Well, yeah, and that's what I would do. Save money. I watch it and then I tape over them. Because video tapes were expensive back in the day, so you just reuse them. But yeah, we can laugh about it now, and that's just a testament to who she is. She's given me grace for all of these similar kind of mistakes that I've made along the way. That's why I said earlier on, when my father gave me this advice, and we've been married for 29 years, but it's not because I've perfectly executed that advice. It's actually because she's so patient and graceful with how I have messed it up.
Well, apparently planned on me doing something like out of this world. And so he was we got a new computer, and this was like in the 80s when nobody had computers and they weighed like a ton. And so anyway, we had a business. And so he had put all of our bookkeeping, we had 8 stores, and he puts all of our bookkeeping on this one computer. Well, he knew I was going to fumble around on it and just mess something up really, and I did. So what happened was I erased everything he had put in with 8 stores. I had erased it. I thought, well, he's going to divorce me on this one now. This is like an I Love Lucy episode. It was just like, I really messed up this time, So he comes in and I'm acting all funny. And I said, sit down. I got something I want to tell you. And he said, what is it? And I said, you're going to hate me for this. And he said, what, you having a fire or something? I don't know when you'd have time, but did you have one? And I said, no. I wish it had been that. He said, it's worse than that. And I said, Phil, I erased the entire bookkeeping system off of your computer. And he just looked at me, folded his arms like this. And I kept like, I'm sorry. I'm like about to start crying and all this kind of stuff like that. He reached in the drawer and went, Jesus saves, and so do I.
Yes.
And it's back when you had those big floppies,
the floppy disk. Yes.
You had those big ones, and boy, I was about to pass. I'm so glad he did that. I said, you must have known I was going to do something stupid like this. He said, it's not stupid. Anybody could do it. He said, but I did save it. I save it every single night just in case I do something stupid. So anyway, allow for women that are faulty like me that might do something dumb. Just allow for it, and then it'll save you headaches later on. So, there you go. We're going to have to call it a day. I can't believe this. Tell folks how they can get in contact with you, and they got to watch you as you get out there and you host these shows.
Oh, I would love for that. Yeah, check us out on Facebook, Wrestling for Christ, and you can send us a direct message on that page as well. We're of course our shows are on YouTube. You can search for Wrestling for Christ WFC and YouTube and find us there. Men Like Us is a new show on Abundant TV that I'm hosting. I would encourage you to check out our Facebook page there. And as well as on Abundant TV. It should be on demand, both episodes now that we have. Would love your support of that ministry. And, certainly reach out to me via direct message. And you can find me on Facebook. Friend me. Jody Powell, just give me a search. My ugly mug's on the picture there. So you'll be able to find me and friend me there and send me a direct message. Would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And continue sending emails my way too. It just makes my day. Donna at donnasedge.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.